I didn't get much sleep last night. Was going over the film. To me, it was an ultra interesting game because it was pretty much symptomatic of a great game. And when I say that, a great game is, yeah, it's fun to watch. But if you love to study the game, what you see in the front isn't necessarily what's underneath. You have to dig and kind of find things because the NFL at every level is like Japanese Kabuki theater. A lot of showing, not telling, misdirection, because that's how the game is played. Whether it's the agents trying to misdirect the GM to get more money, the player doing the same thing with other players on the field, the OCs and DCs battling out, showing and not telling, the GM himself trying to show things come draft and play. It's all about deception, and not everything is as it appears. Now, I have my own opinions. I don't always think they're right, but I usually base them off something. And so I knew I was going to I woke up this morning after a couple of hours of sleep, to basically, what are you crazy? This run defense is terrible. And I get that. And then I heard a lot of, you owe Austin Jackson an apology. And I thought that was good too. Guys, I will gladly apologize to Austin Jackson. I don't know for what. Basically, showing the film for what he's been when he faces the New England defense next week. This was a unique set of circumstances, and it's not to dismiss his play. He still gave up 5 pressures. Lamb gave up 4 pressures against a really terrible game plan. And that's not to say, well, we won the game. We put lots of points on. Tua wasn't sacked. But guys, New England is going to reveal a lot of stuff. If you want to come here for the apology tour that my man Tehran ain't so important, then be here next week after they do whatever is said that they have done against New England defense. That will be a great evaluation. But in the same token, am I going to get a lot of commenters coming by and saying, Curtis, I was wrong if it doesn't play out that way? So I will be interested to see next week. I will be here and say, I was totally wrong. Tehran is no good. Lamb is a star. He's as good as Tehran. And Jackson is phenomenal, if that's what happens on the film next week. But if you actually dig into the film this week and understand the situations, there is context to it, and that can seem like wishy-washiness to me, but we will stay tuned. I was told in preseason I was crazy. We were going to run the ball 200 yards a game, and it didn't play out that way. It looked nice in the beginning, and it was shut down. So, guys, just understand that I will gladly always apologize. Own up. I do it all the time, even for small things. People are like, what are you doing that for? It's not about me being right. But in the same token, it's got to be about evidence. And there is a lot of mitigating factors. And speaking of mitigating factors, we gave up a ton of yards in the run game. But what's the context to that? How did that come about? Again, it's this Kabuki theater, but it's also matchups. If I said last time, if they came out in a bare front and we ran on that bare front, or we came out in a bare front and they ran on our bare front, I'd say, oh man, we're in real trouble. We can't stop the run. But I spent all night really not sleeping, creating unique set of graphics and stats to show my evaluation with evidence. It's not to say I'm saying I'm right, but you're going to see some clear context here as to why I said what I said. Now, I might be wrong, but there is logic to it. Some people I really like are like, you're crazy. One guy's like, it defies logic. Well, I spent all night to try to justify or prove or validate that my opinion might be wrong, but it's based on evidence. And it comes to the matchups. I don't think people, fully understand what kind of defense Fangio called. It was like a sieve, but it was designed for that. And I'm going to get into that. But I want to show you last year's defense and what they stopped and how much they allowed compared to this. And you're going to see it's really very marginal difference. Now, Context is the last year, the Chargers' offensive line was in shambles. This year, it was completely whole, and as we saw, very talented. Total yards allowed this game, 462. 3 sacks. We had 3 sacks. Pass yards with 228, but with sacks, 199. Rush, 234 for 1 TD. 4 TDs total and 2 field goals. The real difference was we allowed 10 more points and about 20 more yards total. Now, last season, Herbert threw for 367, 350 after the 4 sacks, 1 TD, as I said, 4 sacks, 82 on the ground, 1 TD, for a total of 449. And we allowed 1 touchdown and 3 field goals. So in total, we blitzed 26 times last time. I think this time it was about 10. And we sat in nickel all day. I'm going to go over these stats of the court to show you in progression, to show you why I like Fangio so much, because of his feel, but also what thin front we offered them. And we basically said, run on us. We are stopping the pass. So I'm going to have quarter, score, total plays on the drive, the number of defensive linemen, 2 or 3 plus, red zone plays, and how many of those? We only had 2 D linemen, which you'll be shocked to find how thin we were on that front, even in the red zone. Wide alignments that we had during that drive. Most of the day, it was nickel with 2 D linemen inside, and then Chubb and Phillips all the way on the edge, which opens huge gaps up. I'll have that. And how many plays Long had. It's very interesting that Van Ginkel is assuming major responsibilities, and Long is looking like he's getting shelved, at least for what we had here. Maybe he'll be using a spot role differently. I thought that was pretty surprising to put in it. The number of blitzes, number of points put on in that drive, and then notes. Okay, so this will help us in a chronological order kind of view what we're getting and to see the vast amount of nickel we ran, of a thin nickel. Most teams, they'll run their nickel. It's 2 D linemen inside and then 2 D ends who are bigger. But we ran very, very, very small. And I believe that Fangio was allowing the run and constricting this pass game because that's what he wanted to curtail. He wanted to keep Herbert in the box. The announcer even said he was concerned about his movement skills. He said, Williams had a big game. Williams had about 120 yards and 19 yards per catch. This time he had 45 and 11. And so there was a really key game plan here. You can't take it all away. It's a big field. There's talent on both sides. You've got to give something to take something. And sometimes you give a lot of something to take a lot of something else. So this is my contention. This is my thesis. And I'm going to go through the graphics and through it so you can see for yourself what was going on. And maybe it will create mitigating factors. So anyway, before I get into that, I want to say thanks for stopping by, guys. I appreciate all you do. I know I'm the contrarian and maybe at crazy at times, but I think my track record is at least good enough to validate maybe a consideration on this. So, guys, you're the best. Please continue the likes, the subscribes, the comments, and the views. I want to give you a shout out and a shout out to Ace Per Head because without the two of you, this show ain't going down. Ace Per Head's betting software is the premier white label platform for bookies to manage their players and grow their sportsbook operation. Click the link in the description below to get set up in minutes. Ask for the Curtis promo and get a special introductory discount. All right, so here's the graphic. Quarter 1, score 0-0, 15 plays, long drive, but we ran 2 D linemen on 11 of them. We ran 3 D linemen on 4 of them. And in the red zone, we ran 2D linemen 3 out of 4 times. We ran a wide alignment 12 times. Long was only in on 2 plays, 0 blitzes, 7 points. And the DL3, when we brought 3 D linemen in, they were beat deep by a long a play to Allen Long. And so this was 2D linemen, Chubb and Phillips wide. Very, very thin front, and they ran down the field, and they scored the points. This wasn't us trying to stop the run. This is clearly screaming in the nickel for basically the entire drive that, hey, we're taking away the pass. So now, still first quarter, score is 7-7. We get 3 plays, 2 D linemen on 3 of them, no D3 linemen, no red zone plays, wide linemen 3 times, no long, no blitz, no points. On a 3rd and 2 in the wide alignment with 2 DLs, the offensive lineman got nervous to try to get to his spot, and it was an illegal shift, and that kind of ended the drive. We stopped them on 3rd down. But again, this was a pass defense, heavy, small nickel, ultra small nickel. All right, second quarter, score 10-7. We're leading. 6 plays. We ran 2 down linemen once, 3 down linemen 5 times. There was a red zone plays with 3 of 3, which we had the big guys in there. We had 1 wide alignment. Long was in on 3 plays, 0 blitzes, 7 points. Now on a first, if you remember, we had a D lineman of 3 down linemen, and they got a first down pass. Then they got the 55-yard run with the 3 down linemen and Long back there. They broke it open in the middle. It was a wide hole. Some linebacker with a Baker or Long totally screwed it up. And I believe it was Davis got pushed to one side, and then Wilkins was handled one-on-one, but it was like parting of the Red Sea. And then D lineman 3, there was a pass on first down that took him down for a first down in the red zone. But again, Long came over and over pursued. He came back behind, and he stopped them down on the 1-yard line. So that was that drive. Heavy on stopping the run, and it didn't work out for us. Now, second quarter, score 10-14. We're down 4 points, 3 plays, 2 down linemen, 2 snaps of 2 down linemen, 1 snap of 3 down linemen, 0 red plays, 2 wide zone alignments. Long was in on 1 play. We blitzed on 1 play. And the notes were we had a wide alignment, 2 DLs, and on that 2 down, on that critical 3rd down and 3, we had 2 D linemen, both Chubb and Phillips were spread out wide, and we stopped them with a blitz. So Fangio dialed up the blitz on the key point, even with that thin front. And by stopping them in that thin front, in a run zone down like that, it creates confidence and buys time for Fangio to keep rolling out this thin front. Let's keep going. Second quarter, 17-14, 9-play drive, down lineman 2, 7 with 5 wide alignment, a wide lineman of 5, D lineman of 3. We had 2, 0 red zone plays, 0 long, 0 blitz, 3 points. But what we did that time, we ran the thin front, but we stacked both Chubb and Phillips on the left side twice and brought them from one side. It was a little different look, and it kind of threw Herbert for a loop a little bit, and also those linemen. And so it was Fangio messing with things, creating a little something for them different to see, but it was generally still the same thing, a passing defense with a splattering of 3 down linemen. Okay, so keep going. Now this is the third quarter, 2014. 10-play drive, long drive, 2 down linemen 5 times, 3 down linemen 5 times, 5 red zone plays, 5 wide alignments, 1 play with Long in it, 1 blitz, and 7 points. But there's some interesting mitigating factors. Our D lineman with 3, there was a 5-yard run, but Long was in on that one again. The D lineman with 3, there was a 14-yard pass, but then we brought 4 down linemen in, and we stopped the run with a blitz, but Howard had 2 PIs, and that kind of threw things off, if you remember that drive. So we got the 5-yard run with the D lineman of 3, but when we brought the little extra guy with the blitz, we shut it down. And that's kind of how we shut it down last year, too. We brought heavy fronts. We had 3 and 4 guys up front, and we were blitzing all the time. That's how we stopped the run last season. So it shows that if we want, we can stop the run just by doing what we had to do last season. But Fangio, again, for the most part, this was more balanced, but it was still leaning towards pass protection. So third quarter, we're up 27-24, 10-play drive. Down lineman 2, we had 9 of those plays, 1 DL3, 1 play, 4 red zone plays, wide alignment 9, Long was in 0, 4 blitzes, but they got 7 points. Now, it shows you what Fangio's mentality is, whether you agree or not. 4 red zone plays that we ran only 2 down linemen, but we try to make it up with the blitz. Now that we had the D lineman of 3 in there for the 1 play, and it was a run, and we only got 2 yards. So again, when we bulk up, we do pretty good, aside from that big 55-yard pop, which really was about the linebackers. The blitz, we blitzed and it was a big pass play for 35 yards. We blitzed, and it was a 7-yard run. And there was times for DL2, like I said, in the red zone. And so this says that either Fangio is an idiot or he has intentions to demand you run the football on us. So now we're entering the fourth quarter. It's third. We're down 1 point. It's a 14-play drive. He decides to go a nickel and ultra small again with 11 2-down linemen. He has 3 down linemen 3 times, 0 red zone plays, wide alignment 11. This is saying we're taking away the perimeters. We are we're trying to stop the pass. Long was in on 2 plays, but Fangio starts changing the pace a little bit with 4 blitzes. They only get 3 points, but there was a Howard penalty on that helped it out. The DL3 was in there, and they gave up an 8-yard pass, but the DL3 was also in there with Long and stopped it, a run for 2 yards. But there was a big pass on 3rd and long, but that was with the DL3 in there as well. So that basically leaves us again saying, run, we're taking away the pass. This was an intentions, but Fangio is now bringing that blitz and he's changing the pace. And if you remember, those blitzes had some serious impact on that drive. Now, this is the last drive. We're up 36-34. We got 5-play drive, down lineman 2, 5, 0 D3, red zone 0, obviously, wide alignment 5, long 0, 3 blitzes, and they were totally different because he brought the dime this time, and I think it was a Holland creep up and Baker to the side. The first blitz that caused the intentional grounding was something that had never been seen before, and the lineman split, and Holland went this way because it was a layered blitz where Baker came in, drew everybody to the right, the left was being pulled, it opened up for Holland, who came in and forced Herbert to throw, and then he came back and did more blitzes, got the sack, and shut the game down. There's one drive I didn't have in here. I'm so tired I couldn't find it, guys, and it really kind of says the same thing, because that was the one where Kohu got the sack. I don't know what happened. My brain's on fire. But again, we brought the thin fronts. They didn't run on a 3rd and 2 because they didn't, for some reason, I thought it was dumb. Then they brought the edge blitz, and that screwed up that drive. But guys, last year, you saw 3 and 4 guys, everybody crowded in the box. This time, it was totally wide alignment, only 2 D linemen, with Baker, who has trouble stopping the run. I mean, attack, stacking, and shedding. And Van Ginkel for most of the game, who's new at the position. And Long sitting on the sidelines. So these are completely mitigating factors when you add in how good the offensive line of the Chargers is. And I'm not even counting how many times they ran 2 tight end sets and how many times they were jammed in the box, even though we were playing over. This was an umbrella defense. Either Fangio's a moron and doesn't know that ultralight nickels is not the way to stop the run game, or he was saying, run the ball, I am stopping it, and then dialing up critical plays along the way because the game never got 2 scores. If the game got to 2 scores and they could run the football, it would have been different. But the game kept going back and forth, and it was very tight. And he dialed up some big plays along the way around those blitzes. And they were never able to break us, to get us out of that nickel, then to get those big pass plays. But if you notice, conversely, the Chargers did the opposite. They were all on the line of scrimmage. They were playing man, everybody up on the line of scrimmage, and they got beat over the top. And that's what got us to win the game. You got Allen and you got Williams, and they would definitely have put on quick points, and Fangio didn't want any part of that. And so his concept was, and you have to remember, Howard had 3 penalties. I don't know if he trusts him because that was pretty bad coverage. And then he had a bunch of other guys he's learning. He had Elliott at safety. He had to protect that secondary. And so by creating this ultralight front and saying, okay, we're going to have to give up a lot of run yards, but we've got to protect this deep pass play. You don't want to get Herbert in rhythm. You don't want them to get themselves to a point where they understand what's going on. Kind of like what McDaniel did to Staley. He knew what he was doing, and he just kept attacking it. And so this is why I am not overly concerned about our run defense. It's not to say I have no concerns, because for me, Phillips is a little concerning on edge, although at the end he made a very nice run stop. Chubb is a little concerning on the outside. But I know if we bring that 3-man front with Davis and Wilkins and Sealer and Chubb and Phillips on the outside with Baker and Long inside, we can stop the run. But until Ramsey gets back, we're a little suspect in that secondary. And Fangio, whatever you think about him, is a pass defense first guy. He's always been that way. That's why he doesn't blitz. It's about controlling the passing game and in making those critical plays. And as this defense this is the first week of this defense in an intellectually driven defense, and we have to understand that as well. He's feeling out the players are feeling out the system and each other. So this is why I'm not going crazy over this. What he was able to do to Williams to contain him, what he was able to do to Herbert to contain him, and what he was able to do in critical situations is why I am not crazy. Well, I might be wrong, but I do have rationale for why I say this. Anyway, we'll see how it plays out. We'll see how it plays out this week. I expect a different look on defense this week than next week. Fangio morphs his looks from week to week depending on his opponents. So we'll see. You can't give up 200 yards on the ground and 300 or 400 yards in the air. That's when there's problems. But I think that he is a master of Kabuki theater. And I guess we'll see. Same with our offensive line. But I do hope that Tehran comes back. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed. I hope it makes sense. I will always admit when I'm wrong. But maybe some of you should stop in on by occasionally when you get things wrong. Right? Anyway, thank you for everything. Curtis saying, catch you next time. It was a great week no matter what, wasn't it? Go Fins. Start building your own online sportsbook today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.